So today I want to talk about something that I'm a little bit of an expert in, and that's prison. But I'm not going to be telling you guys about a prison that I was personally in. This prison is called Mamertine Prison, and it's where St. Peter and St. Paul were held for months before they were executed. So just a little bit of a backstory about their arrest. If we can remember all the way back to history class in high school, Rome burnt down in 64 AD. Emperor Nero was the emperor at the time. He was blamed for starting the fires, and he scapegoated that to the Christians. The Christians were a perfect group to place the blame on because the Roman citizens were already really skeptical of Christians, right? They accused them of three main things. The first being atheists. They thought they didn't believe in any god because they weren't sacrificing or worshiping the Roman gods that everyone was at the time. They accused them of cannibalism because of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, and incest because they referred to everyone in their church as the brother and sister in Christ, and so they were marrying their brothers and sisters in Christ. So the Romans saw that as incest. So they were the perfect people to place the blame on, and this would start a great persecution of the Christians, and the Christians would then on and off be persecuted until about 313 AD, which is when the Edict of Milan was signed. So tradition describes the two apostles languishing in total darkness for 9 months, bound by heavy chains to a single stone pillar. Despite the horrific dampness, cold, and stench of the lower cell, Peter and Paul turned their prison into a place of active ministry, converting and healing fellow prisoners who were lowered down into the dungeon to await execution. So the dungeon was broken, or the jail was broken into two levels, I guess. There's the upper level, where prisoners were initially held for trial. Then there's the lower dungeon. Originally an ancient cistern, this dark and airtight room was accessed only through a small hole in the ceiling. Inmates were lowered down by ropes into pitch darkness with no light or sanitation. So I've been in many prisons and jails in my day, and to be lowered down into total darkness by a rope just sounds horrific. I've been in prisons where they never turn the lights off 24/7. Like in segregation, the lights are just on all the time, and that is difficult to deal with. But to just be in complete darkness hanging by a rope, i couldn't even I couldn't even imagine. So according to Christian tradition, both St. Peter and St. Paul were held in the lower chamber, so in complete darkness, during the persecutions of Emperor Nero before their martyrdoms. So St. Peter was eventually taken to nowadays Vatican Hill, or the Circus of Nero, and he was crucified upside down. They said, "We're going to crucify him." And he said, "What an honor it is to die the same way as my Lord." And they said, "Well, we can fix it. You don't have to die the same way as him." Flipped it upside down and crucified him like that. St. Paul, on the other hand, he was actually a Roman citizen. And so crucifixion was forbid for Roman citizens, because crucifixion was it was demeaning. It was for the lowest of the low. It was almost an insult on top of the death. And so St. Paul, being a Roman citizen, he wasn't allowed to be crucified. And so he was taken outside the city walls and they beheaded him. So while they were staying at the prison, though, there was a couple miracles that happened there. So legend holds that while in the dungeon, Peter struck the ground and water welled up from it. The next, I think this is the biggest miracle that they were given credit for. 2 Roman guards were assigned to watch them. Saint Processus and Saint Martinian. They were so moved by Peter and Paul's teachings and miracles that they were asked to be baptized. They later freed the apostles, were arrested themselves, and suffered martyrdom under Nero. The apostles also got caught again, just so you know. And they are commemorated as saints. And then the last one is the pillar. Visitors can still see the stone column inside the lower chamber where tradition says Peter and Paul were chained. Right? So nowadays, they built a church on top of where the prison was. So it's called you guys know I'm not good at pronouncing things. San Giuseppe de Felegnami. And 16th century church built directly on top of the ancient prison complex. And if you go down into the ruins, the prison walls feature inscriptions listing famous historical prisoners executed there. So that's pretty cool. And the last thing is down on the lower level, there's an inverted altar. So there's a small chapel featuring an inverted altar where it is depicted Saint Peter is baptizing the jailers. So yeah, just a quick video today. I thought it was kind of interesting. I've been doing some testimonials and stuff lately, so I wanted to bring you guys a historical video. And if there's one thing I'm knowledgeable about, unfortunately, it's prison. So I thought this was kind of interesting. It's probably a prison that not a lot of people have heard of, or a lot of people probably didn't even know that St. Peter and St. Paul were in prison for so long before they were martyred for the faith. So just some interesting tidbits of information. But thank you guys for watching, and have a good day. God bless.